Welcome back to The Explainer. It's wild how a masterfully crafted story can be told in literally just 60 seconds. Today, we're tearing down a storyboard for a seriously high-octane visual journey, the rebirth of a legendary car. We're going to see exactly how the source material orchestrates pacing, cinematography, and raw emotion to bring a machine back from the dead. Okay, let's dive right into this. Every legend deserves a second chance. This closing text from our source material isn't just a catchy tagline, it sets the stakes for everything we're about to see. We aren't just fixing a piece of machinery here, we're resurrecting a legend. This single sentence is the emotional anchor that grounds all the mechanical chaos and high-tech polish we are about to experience. Here's how we're going to break this down. First, the forest discovery. Then, extraction and deep cleaning, followed by the futuristic restoration, the final reveal, and wrapping up with the highway grand finale. Let's get to it. Look at this timeline. They waste absolutely no time here. 0 to 10 seconds. That's the discovery. 10 to 30, pure, grueling recovery and cleaning. The magic of the full restoration hits right between seconds 30 and 50, and it all leads to this massive, rapid 10-second payoff at the end. All right, Section 1, The Forest Discovery, Finding the Legend. The storyboard kicks off its first 10 seconds with this really hushed, mysterious vibe. It zeroes in on a very specific, forgotten subject, a 1967 Ford Mustang. And the timing is totally deliberate. It's discovered at sunrise by a young mechanic. That sunrise is basically a literal awakening for this sleeping giant that's been lost in the woods for decades. Right off the bat, we've got a protagonist and a machine just begging to be revived. Now, what's really interesting about this is the deliberate clash they're setting up. On one hand, you've got the vehicle's physical condition, literally choked in vines, rust, and broken glass. Super gritty. But then, the text specifically calls for an ultra-realistic 8K drone shot. It forces us to look at absolute decay through this incredibly premium dramatic lens, making what is essentially a pile of rusty mud look almost majestic. Moving on to Section 2, Extraction and Deep Cleaning, the raw mechanics. So that quiet awe from the forest? Yeah, that doesn't last long at all. The energy ramps way up into some intense, heavy physical labor. Step 1, a heavy recovery truck violently yanks the car from the mud. Then step 2, high-pressure water blasts away the grime and sunlight finally hits that classic body. Step 3, all those rusted, seized parts are just brutally dismantled. And finally, step 4, the heart of the beast, the old engine, is yanked out. It is a total ground-up deconstruction. To make you really feel the grit of this phase, the storyboard leans heavily on sensory and cinematic cues. Notice the choices here. You've got slow-motion pacing to highlight the sheer physical struggle. Powerful, guttural engine sounds. Then, moving into the shop, a time-lapse squeezes days of backbreaking work into seconds. Sparks are literally flying from grinders and welders under this harsh, realistic lighting. It's meant to feel exhausting, loud, and incredibly real. Next step, Section 3, the futuristic restoration, the high-tech rebuild. Hitting the 30-second mark, we pivot hard from old-school greased to absolute clinical precision. Just look at the massive scale of the mechanical overhaul here. Under performance, we aren't just patching things up, we're talking a brand new engine, modern suspension, and high-performance brakes. On the exterior, fresh headlights, flawless chrome trim, glossy metallic paint, and inside, a completely pristine, brand new interior. They are basically building a modern supercar inside the shell of a 67 Classic, and the pace of the upgrades is relentless. And this brilliantly illustrates that we're not just dealing with a guy turning a wrench in a dusty garage anymore. We definitely still have the vital human expertise and craftsmanship of skilled mechanics, but now they're working in perfect harmony with automated robotic tools. It's this incredible marriage of human soul and futuristic garage automation to make sure the rebuilt legend is technically flawless. Which brings us to Section 4, the final reveal. Perfection achieved. All that meticulous labor finally pays off right in the 40 to 50-second window. The storyboard dictates a very specific visual language for this victory lap. The car is now shining under bright studio lights, a massive contrast to the forest mud and workshop sparks, right? The paint has these crazy mirror-like reflections. The camera lingers on these intimate close-ups, the pristine new engine, the gleaming wheels, the rich leather interior, the highly polished body. We are just soaking in the sheer perfection of it all. And finally, Section 5, the highway grand finale, the return to the road. Because come on, a car like this isn't meant to sit safely under studio lights forever, right? For the adrenaline-fueled payoff in the final 10 seconds, the storyboard throws us out of the shop and onto a scenic coastal highway. The visual atmosphere is nothing short of stunning. The lighting shifts from that stark sunrise at the beginning to a rich golden hour sunset, kind of implying this completed cycle. Fast cinematic tracking and dramatic drone shots capture the pure speed and freedom of this rebuilt machine right back in its natural habitat. So why does this all matter? What's the ultimate takeaway? The real payoff isn't just that the car runs again. It's seeing this 1967 reborn classic out on the highway, racing neck and neck alongside modern sports cars. It's a massive visual statement that the old ways, when you combine them with pure dedication and modern tech, can absolutely still run with the best of today. It has totally earned its place back in the pack. Which brings our narrative beautifully full circle. The scene fades out, and these words pop up on screen once again. Every legend deserves a second chance. Over the course of just 60 seconds, we watched a dead piece of metal earn exactly that. We saw the decay, felt the grind of the restoration, marveled at the futuristic rebuild, and finally witnessed its triumphant return to the road. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought inspired by this incredible storyboard. When you pour this much human effort and futuristic tech into resurrecting a piece of history, does a restored 1967 icon belong safely behind velvet ropes in a museum just to be preserved? Or does it belong out on the coastal highway, engine roaring, racing modern sports cars, exactly like it was born to do? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer today, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.